All right, last up here, we're going to translate between a recursive and explicit formula. So in other words, we may be given a recursive formula, and we're going to be asked to write an explicit formula from that, or we may be given an explicit formula and asked to write a recursive. So let's see, we've got here, write a recursive formula. Well, that's telling us we're being given an explicit formula. For an equals 4 times 3 raised to the power of n minus 1. So let's kind of define what we know. This 4 then is going to be equal to a1, because if we remember from that explicit formula, that's what that value would hold. And this r is our common ratio. And then n minus 1. Okay, so all right, let's look at the basic format of our recursive formula for a geometric sequence, and since that's got a common ratio, it's obviously a geometric sequence, which is an times the common ratio times a to the n minus 1. Okay, well, hey, it's not going to be hard to write. I'm going to put an equals, I'm going to substitute in 3 for the common ratio, times an minus 1, and I'm going to go ahead and define a domain for n where n is greater than or equal to 2. Well, shazam. That one's pretty easy. The next one's a little bit trickier. We'll move on to the next slide. All right, so now we've been given a recursive formula, and we're being asked to write an explicit one, and this is for an arithmetic sequence. So let's see what we have. We got a1 is equal to negative 16, and then we have the recursive formula here, which is an equals an minus 1 minus 7, and the domain is where n is greater than or equal to 2. Well, in order to do this, we need to drop back to, first off, let's look at a common difference here of negative 7. And we're going to use the formula for finding the nth term of an arithmetic sequence to get us where we need to go. And let me review that formula, which is an equals a1 plus n minus 1 times the common difference. Now let's substitute in what we know, and we're going to come up with a recursive formula. So an equals, well, a1 is negative 16 plus n minus 1 times the common difference, which is negative 7. Let's distribute that negative 7, so now we got negative 16. N times negative 7 is minus 7n, and n times negative 1 now is a positive 7. And let's combine the like terms. So I got negative 7n, and then negative 16 plus 7 is going to give me negative 9. So using this as our basis, finding the nth term of an arithmetic sequence, because obviously that's what we've got here is an arithmetic sequence, that leads us to this as our recursive formula. Let's do our homework and get a little practice. What do you say?